starting back up with Taurus. Taurus, you could find that you are avoiding conflict by being ahead of it somehow. You may be more willing to respect differences than you normally, but it seems like a fight that you may be willing to pick up later on. Like you're still holding on to some part of this, and as much as you're willing to kind of go with the flow and deal with diversity right now, in the future, you could be seen as kind of double backing and reneging on a previous conversation, so be aware of that and keep track of what is. Gemini, this is your daily. We've got the Three of Swords. I always want to call this the Three of Cups, though. It's the exact opposite of the Three of Cups, though. With the Three of Swords, there is some kind of conversation that you're entering into where there could just be a little bit too much input. Now, if that's the case, even if it's only a two-party conversation, it's likely that somebody else is also having an influence as to what's being said. Now, whenever you're having these conversations, do not be afraid to address that it seems like there's somebody not thinking for themselves, because this could easily be seen as a card where someone isn't fully representing their own side because they're either afraid to, or they're just in a situation where they can't openly share. Normally that's not how I read this, but I'm not really seeing this as divorce so much as a divorce from the situation, like they just don't want to be a part of it, so they're totally desensitizing to it, totally checked out from it. So this really does feel as though this is someone that you're connected to, that you're trying to converse with, but it's just not working out that way because of this other influence. Cancer, this is your daily tarot card for September 15th. We've got the Magician in the upright. Now, with the Magician in the upright, you have the resources, the materials, the education, and the will to make something happen. Do not discount that you have what you need in front of you. It could be time for you to start utilizing it, though, and there may be a certain amount of hesitancy, a willingness to hold back, but that willingness to hold back isn't going to get you anywhere. It's much better to fail at this point, Cancer, than it is to kind of maintain the status quo, and it really is important that you utilize what it is that you've been working toward having in front of you as far as resources, as far as opportunities. Use what you've been gathering. Stop hoarding and start utilizing. Leo, this is your daily for September 15th. We've got the Knight of Wands. Now, with the Knight of Wands in the upright, you could be enthusiastically going back to something that you thought was going to work out before, and that you just needed to change some part of yourself, change some part of how it is that you handle situations, and oddly enough, I don't think you're going to be right for this situation still. Because even though maybe some part of you has changed, the part of you that was holding on to this hasn't. And you may not be willing to see whatever this situation is, whether it's a relationship, a person, a job. Maybe you've changed so much that you're not right for it. You're still not right for it, but in a different way. Also, don't head into something on behalf of somebody else. Working on the behalf of somebody else's demand or somebody else's will is not going to get you where you need to go. It's going to set you back, and you may be worse for the wear. Virgo, this is your daily for the 15th, we've got anxiety, worry, fear, depression, and really it feels more like seasonal depression, like there could have been a sudden change of seasons around you, or a realization that you haven't achieved something that you wanted to by a certain point, like, because I'm pretty sure we're still in Virgo season, like maybe you didn't achieve something by your birthday that you wanted to, possibly even something about a milestone birthday that it's like, well, I still haven't done this, I still haven't done that, and it's more important that you focus on why you haven't done what you thought you wanted to do. Maybe your reasons weren't good enough and you couldn't justify, going the extra mile that you think you need to go to achieve something. And as much as it's important that you hold yourself accountable for what you have failed to achieve, it's also important that you understand why you haven't achieved that, and why it is that you're not willing to make the changes that you may need to in order to get where you want to be. Libra, this is your daily. We have of course, we've got the Nine of Wands. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. It does take a good amount of courage to uphold your boundaries and maintain them. Now, it may be convenient to make certain access points for individuals and kind of let them beyond that border that you've created. However, constantly changing where your lines are for everybody is going to make you tired. It's going to be difficult to kind of keep track of your relationships and how you feel about certain people, because it's almost as though you let someone get away with something so somebody else thinks that they can get away with it too. Now, this is the card that for me I normally call the tall fences make good neighbors, and ensure that if you set a boundary that you keep the boundary and you don't just waver at every given opportunity that somebody slightly pressures you to give in. And now Scorpio. Scorpio, this is your daily, and you've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Oddly enough, I don't think it's your lack of commitment that's not working out. It's almost as though you're coming, you're showing up, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but it's not being acknowledged. You're putting the practical work in, you're doing the hands-on things, but it's almost as though you've been trained the bare minimum for a job. And they expect you to go above and beyond, but every time you meet a certain amount of expectation, you meet a milestone, they totally disregard it. They refuse to see past well, that's your job. They set this kind of course of, well, you need to do this, 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 and this in order to get a promotion, in order to get a permanent job position. And every time you meet a milestone or meet one of these conditions, they're just like, so that's your job. And as much as you're willing to show up and be the steady part in this, the foundational, structured, reliable part of this equation, whenever the equation keeps changing, you can't be seen as stable. Sagittarius. The Knight of Cups. The Knight of Flowers, the guy that comes in is like, oh, well, he's pretty, or she's pretty. They bring gifts, they bring chocolate, they bring flowers, they come in saying all the right things because somebody told them what to say. Somebody told them what to say, Sagittarius, and if it wasn't somebody else, then they have been observing from afar and assessing the situation. You don't have the same advantage that this person does. They're coming in and they know how to look attractive, they know how to appear to be everything that you could want. And this could also be a job, some kind of opportunity, like someone is tailor-making this for you. So don't be afraid to look behind the curtain. Don't be afraid to kind of see past what other people want you to see. It looks nice, it smells nice, it's at the right time, and there's a reason why everything is right about this, and it may not be all good reasons. Capricorn. We are up to Capricorn. We've got the Tower in the upright. There's likely something that you are going to be dismantling today. Now, this sudden change is, it feels like it's under your control. Like this is an upheaval that you have been planning, but you may not have planned for it to happen today, Capricorn, and you've really been setting it up to where it feels like you're going to be comfortable after this happens, but it didn't happen when you wanted it to. But it's because you never set a certain time when you wanted this to happen. Your own indecision has kind of left it up to the universe to say, you know what, now's the day. Today is the day, and this is happening, and you feel like you can roll with it right now, Capricorn, because you saw this coming. However, after about, I want to say 3 days to 3 weeks, you're going to be in this change, and you're going to almost be missing the previous situation that you were in. Now, that does not mean that you have to go back to a bad relationship, a bad job. It just means that you have to kind of commit to the change that you set out to create and maintain the status quo that you've been longing for. Aquarius, this is your daily. So, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. With the Knight of Pentacles, you are putting in the hard work and you're being productive. You know what you're getting out of whatever this is, and the conversations that you're willing to have are benefiting you. But it's going to take time for other people to realize what it is that you're getting out of it. It's almost as though you're kind of networking, and you're constantly showing up to the party to continue to make new connections. You're willing to open yourself up to situations that will allow you to grow. And because this is a night, I almost want to say that it's important for you to ensure that your thoughts are your own. It may be tempting to kind of take on the ideas of a guru or a mentor and just kind of plaster them on yourself to make you appeal to the people that they appeal to. However, there was another reason why you came here. You have your own ideas, you have your own substance that you can add to the conversation, and you need to remember that. Get your foot in the door and then take full advantage of it being you. And Pisces. We have the Four of Swords in reverse. Now, with the Four of Swords in reverse, this is always my stop kicking a dead horse, stop trying to essentially achieve something that's already been achieved. You know, you can only keep addressing a situation so much before there's no point, and I think you've kind of reached that. You're tired, the situation is tired, everything is kind of burnt out, and it's going to be more important that you focus on recovery at this point. But part of you is unable to let go of whatever this fight was about, whatever these ideas were about, and at this point, I think you may have to just kind of concede that you're just kind of arguing with a brick wall. Something that's not going to give you any feedback, because even it has totally shut down. Now, it feels like there's a person that's totally shut down, and they're not willing to kind of emote or give anything else to this conversation. So don't waste your time and start recovering. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am going to have timestamps up, and thank you for joining the live.